Well, hello YouTubers, and welcome to the next episode of Perestroika, Resurrection of the Deckel. Today we're in the shop. We've got another part of the project here that needs to be taken care of on the grinder. The table did sustain some damage, and we're going to take some of that out. And then also, it has some wear on it. Let me across the top. There's along the edge it's rounded off, and so I need to measure it out and see how uneven it is, and then we'll determine how much we're going to take off. So far I've been busy with cleaning it up on the bottom to get the bottom end of it all straightened out. There's a little bit of a wear pattern here in the middle. That's of course to be expected, but it's not bad. You can still see the machine marks where the table was originally milled. It's just a little shinier right here than out here on the edges. Again, the machine marks are visible all the way through. There's some tarnish here going on the edges, and right here is going to be our reference surface. This is a machine surface on the bottom of the dovetail, so we can use that as a reference. And I've been putting a little elbow grease in it with my trusty dusty little Sandflex block here. And I did some cleanup off camera, but I'm going to do some more. And then when I get done with that, I'll bring you back and show you how it cleaned up. And then we'll go ahead and put it on the mag chuck, measure it, and grind it. So today, like I said, we're going to be working on the surface grinder. And hope you guys enjoy what you're going to get to follow along with today. So let me pause this and I'll bring you back once I've got some elbow grease into this cleanup. So right now we're going to go mobile. I did find a few little dingus McGee's that happened when this thing got thrown from the truck, and they're pretty obvious on the side of the table. It's right along the side with the gib. Off camera I did the gib already, and the Acme screw that uses for the lateral adjustment on the table, it was bent as well, so I went ahead and did that off camera. It wasn't really much to see. It was just a matter of holding it a little bit in the vise, bending it a little bit, and then putting it across the I don't have a granite plate, but I made a steel one on the grinder here, and so I used that as a measuring plate for, you know, with gauge blocks and that kind of thing, and sign bars. So that's the way I did that. It works, you know, fairly well. It's not perfect, but yeah, it does the job. So anyway, I want to go mobile here and show you guys the dingus McGee's that have been accumulated. Okay, here's one of the focus. You can see it right down here is a ding. Same thing over here on this side of the table. Right here's a little bit of a gouge, and there's a pretty big dent right here. I'm going to take a diamond file and hone that down just a smidge. And then over here there's also, you can't see it with this crappy light here, but there's a little bitty, yeah, you can see it a little bit right there. This is the side that the gib rides in. And then over here there's also some burrs that need to be taken off. I've already cleaned this up somewhat. I'm a little lazy today, so I'm not going to get too wild with the Sandflex block, but you can see it took off all the weasel snot and most of the patina here on this corner. This corner cleaned up fairly nice. This one did too. And this one still has a little bit of a patina on it, but it's not nowhere near as bad as it used to be. You can still see the machine marks here in the ways. Yeah, there you go. You can see them. See, it's a little shiny right here, but it's not too terribly bad. This must have been done on a planer or a shaper, judged by the shape of the tool marks here. And so anyway, let's get this thing thrown up on the chuck and get to cracking here. Alright, now we're rolling, and we got this all cleaned up. Got the mag chuck all cleaned up. Now to lift this puppy up on there without screwing something up. Okay, we've got no tipping. Turn on the power. And turn on the mag. And it holds. Okay, now this machine has automatic feed. Let me turn this just a smidge. Automatic feed, and we'll go ahead and run it back and forth. Make sure we get everything out of the way. Now with these stops here, got to set the stops to where they... Okay, this one come back a little bit. Takes a while for this thing to warm up too. It's a hydraulic feed. Okay, so that is enough. This one's going to have to go way back here. Now let's see how we are. Okay. Okay, we've got some variation here. I did this off camera because I didn't want to eat up too much of your time too. Stuck the dial indicator on here, and we're getting some fluctuation, but it's not too terribly bad. It's fairly consistent all the way through. We'll check out the next rib here. This edge was particularly bad, so I wanted to make sure that was fairly straight. I got it set on 0, and it's bouncing all over the place because this thing is just so rough from the corrosion. But I'm not seeing a whole lot of variation here. A few tenths maybe. So we're going to go ahead and fire it up and give it a whirl. So, do the old Stan Sinkowski paper trick here. Okay, we're right on it. There we go. So now we'll bring it all the way out. Now this thing has some pretty neat features on it. Other than the hydraulic feed, it also advances as it goes back and forth. Can't see that quite here. So let me focus on the controls, and I'll show you. Here's the manual back and forth for the table. Now here's the feed advance. There's a little catch lever in the back that you can set it for either forward or reverse, so it'll either feed in or feed out depending on the lever setting. Down here is a knob. Can't see that. Let me bring this thing around a bit a little better. So, let's see, can we see all that? I'll have to cut all this crap out. Okay, here we go. Alright, here's the feed lever and gauge, and you can actually set the feed speed here on this knurled knob. This will also set the rate of advance, depending on how much you want to advance the table. We have 0.02 of a millimeter on each increment here, and I think it takes like 1/10 of a millimeter with each advance. And then here's the height for the head over here, and it I think is can't see the dial on it just yet, but anyway, it's a pretty fine adjust. It's in the 100ths of millimeters as well, so that puts it well within the 10,000ths range, or 10,000ths of an inch. So let me back this up and fire it up. Let's see here. And we also have a built-in suction. So we'll give it a test go here. Okay, we're not quite off the end of the table. Okay, now we've cleared the table. Now we're going to bring it in. Yeah, I just heard a little crunch. We got the feet advanced all the way open, and we're already taking off a little material on one corner. So that goes to show, even with the measuring, that there was a high spot on the table. Now as this thing warms up, it'll pick up speed and really get to cooking. Let me bring in mobile here and show you the pattern we're getting so far. See where it's coming off, just a narrow strip right there on the northwest corner. So this will take a while to work its way through. I'm going to go grab a stool and get myself comfortable here and let this thing run through. I'll bring it back when the table's about halfway finished, and then when I take a finish cut. Alright, here's our initial cut. As you can see, there's just a little bit of taken off the edge here. And no, I didn't dress the stone purposely, because, I mean, you look at this table, it's full of grime and grunt and gunk and weasel snot and what have you, oxides. And so the initial cut, the stone's going to get gummed up real bad, and it's out of balance too. I don't have a second arbor for this thing, and the arbor on this is a little bit bunged up, as you can see here. And so this is from a previous operator that didn't know the machine from his ass from a hole in the ground, and really messed things up. So I did find the counterweights in here and did manage to get the stone balanced a little bit. It's better than it was. You can see there is a little bit of a chatter pattern to the grind here. But I'm going to go ahead and dress this once I get about halfway through. Here's the dressing mechanism up here. You can advance this little wheel here. There's a little diamond right in there. And here's the hand lever to draw the stone back and forth across the diamond across the stone, so it'll plane up the wheel nice and square. So anyway, here's the initial cut, the first pass. I haven't advanced anything on this dial here yet. So we're going to go ahead and do that now, and bring you back when we get that pass done. Issues that I'm having here is a scallop finish. Now if you notice, here's the balance, the counterweights to balance the shaft, and I drove these up a little bit. It got better, but it's still a far cry from where it needs to be. So I'm going to try and get this thing set to where I got a decent finish. Getting better than what it was. Let's see if you can see that or not. The initial cut was, of course, really scalloped, and that was a, there we go, you can see the scalloping finish here of the wheel. I did dress it on the second pass, so it did look a little better, but there's still a balance issue. The other thing is, this is not the correct wheel for cast iron or cast steel. So it needs to be a different wheel. Unfortunately, I don't have a different wheel to use. So I'm going to monkey around with the balance here a little more and see if we can't get it going here. Now, the one reason I can tell that this is out of balance when I run the wheel, and let it run it out and stop. Sorry about the wobbling here, we're mobile. If the wheel keeps stopping in the same spot, it's got a little bit of an imbalance. And we can see the writing. Do the same thing. If you do it 3 times and you come up with the same spot, relatively the same, or relatively the same spot 3 times in a row or more than twice, chances are you've got an imbalance in the wheel and you got to correct that. I've been playing with it. I'm just not. I don't have a, see, here's the writing again. Been playing with it, and I just haven't had any success with getting it just right. It's a little fickle. I don't have a balancing fixture for this arbor either, so that's the reason it's a little bit tricky to try to get this to go again. Okay, now we've got different spot here, but anyway, I'm going to monkey with it some more and see if we can't get it just dead nuts. Okay, here's our finished cut. You can see there's still a little bit of scalloping going on, but it's not as bad as it was. This is just one of those instances where this is as good as it's going to get, I'm afraid. You can see a little bit right there next to the glare, where there's some right in here on this side. It's just a phenomenon I can't seem to get rid of. I've balanced this thing and balanced this thing, and it doesn't matter which way I go with the weights, it just doesn't get any better. This is about as good as it's going to get, I'm afraid. So when this is through, I'm going to sand it up on its edge and take a finish, or put a little bit of a grind on this to true it up. See, there's a little bit of a belly in the side of the table, so it's a good thing we're putting this on the grinder to get that wow out of there and straighten it all up. I characterize this table. Well, YouTubers, got this tabletop finally ground. I'm not real happy with the finish. The only thing I can think of after playing with the counterweights in the head of this thing for as long as I have and as much as I have is that the bearings on this wheel are shot. The oil level is a little low, and the wheel turns a little stiff, so I'm thinking there's probably a bearing going out somewhere. There are a few times I thought I had it and it was running fine, and then a few strokes later it just decided to go back into lizard skin mode. That's kind of what this finish looks like, is a little bit like lizard skin. It's not too bad. It's barely measurable. It's in the thousandths of millimeters. It's something I can live with, but I'm not real happy with because the finish just looks like shit. So one of these first fine days we're going to have to overhaul this thing. Might have it reground sometime down the road, but you know, for what this machine's going to be doing, this finish is just fine. It's plain enough, flat enough to where it will do the job that it needs to do, and we'll just leave it at that. So Monday after work, I'm going to put this on my pack frame and pack it home, seeing as how I don't have a car here. So either that or call a friend. Anyway, I only took off about half a millimeter. I mean, it wasn't much, but there was enough rounding in the ribs of the table that smaller work pieces would have been pretty dicey as far as getting them locked down and keeping them locked down and keep the work piece or even the parting heads or whatever a guy puts on here in one plane. The risk of having it tilt on me was just a little bit too much for my taste. And like I said, I'm thinking about putting in a small T-slot on the front of this. Well, wait and see. It may or may not happen. Because then you're compromising the strength of your first rib up here if you do put in a T-slot. And if I did, it would only be a small one, like a 6 millimeter, something really, really small. Of course, the guy could also just put in a couple of holes and then put a fence on it, like on the back of the mag chuck here, something like that maybe. I don't know. I'm still playing with the idea and see what it can do. If it's even necessary, I doubt it. So, but anyway, that's one of the options that I'm thinking about doing. So, hope you enjoyed this episode of Perestroika, Resurrection of the Deckel. And by all means, leave a comment in the comment section below if there's something else you want to see, or if I missed something, or if you have a suggestion as to what may be the cause of this head not, running true. I'm always open to suggestions, and I thank the new subscribers that have come on board. And thanks for stopping by.